Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so we're gonna push to Facebook, so if everybody will just hold tight, we'll let you know when we're ready to go.
Just turn on my mic. I'm ready.
Hey, Jim.
How you doing, Woody?
Good, thanks. It's a quiet crowd today.
How was everybody's Easter?
Wonderful. Busy. In my case.
Wonderful.
It was so nice to be back in church for Easter.
Oh, I know.
Okay, I think we're good to go.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And thanks to everybody for joining us. It's we're on the back end of a wonderful Easter weekend, as we were just noting. Beautiful weather, beautiful services everywhere, and just thank you for taking time today and showing your interest in your town. There's a lot going on in your town, a lot coming down the pikes that will really, I think, challenge us and move our town forward both. So, excited to be a part of this program today. I've always wanted to have the Chamber of Commerce on and let them tell you about some of the great things that's going on there. Before we get to the main part of our program today, it's very typical that we get an update from our COVID situation that we're all continuing to endure a little bit. I just saw some statistics that maybe our numbers are ticking up a little bit, and I'm a little bit concerned about that, and very happy to have our Mecklenburg County Medical Director, Gibbie Harris, on the line as well. She's been a faithful participant, pretty much for the last year, on our Connecting Cornelius calls on the first Monday of every month. So Gibbie, tell us what's happening. Is that true that our numbers are ticking up a little bit?
Unfortunately, good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me on again. Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to the group on a regular basis. So yes, unfortunately, our numbers are ticking up just a little bit. What we are seeing right now is, as you know, from mid-January into just the last couple of weeks, we have been seeing a pretty steady decline in our numbers, which has been great. Unfortunately, over the past week and a half, we've seen increases in most of our metrics. Our percent positivity rate has gone up to 6.7%. That is an increase. We had gotten down below 5 at one point recently. Our average number of cases are up to 237 per day. Unfortunately, that is up. At one point, we were down around 150, 160 a day. Our hospitalizations have been fairly stable over the last couple of weeks. So that's good news. Unfortunately, we had been seeing them move down, but now what we're seeing is sort of a stabilization of those numbers. And our case rate is up as well. So unfortunately, we are seeing that increase. The not so bad news is we're not seeing the spikes that other parts of the country are seeing right now. Our numbers are just slowly creeping up. And so I think we have the opportunity, as those numbers continue to creep up, to keep them from escalating like we've seen in other parts of the country. And part of the escalation is due to the reopening of things. We expect to see some additional cases as our children go back to school, as our bars and restaurants are more open, as businesses are more open. We also know that we are seeing more of the variants in our community, and they have the ability to be a bit more contagious. And some of the variants seem to be having the impact of greater hospitalizations and more severe illness. So we're watching all of that very carefully as well. We know we have those variants in our community. We don't know the extent of their involvement at this point. Our state hasn't done a lot of work in the area of surveillance to really understand the impact of the variants in North Carolina, but that's changing. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks into a month, we'll know more about that as well. The good news too is that we're vaccinating, and the more people we get vaccinated, the better we're going to be in terms of situation with our numbers. Right now, close to 20% of our population in Mecklenburg County has at least been partially vaccinated, and about 13% have been fully vaccinated. So those are good numbers. They're not where we want them to be. Obviously, we want a lot more. I know a number of you on this Zoom have been vaccinated, and I applaud you for that. And as much as you can encourage others to take advantage of those vaccines when they're available to them, we appreciate that. As you know, I think we have moved into the rest of Group 4. And on April 7th, the governor opens up all vaccines to Group 5. And Group 5 is everybody who hadn't been vaccinated yet. So again, improved opportunity to be vaccinated. We are getting more vaccines into the state on a weekly basis and are working hard to get that out every week so that we don't have any vaccines sitting on the shelf. And I guess the last thing.
Gibbie,
Yes.
could I interrupt you 1 second? Because we
Sure.
got a really good question on vaccinations. And one of our citizens wants to know, are you seeing fully vaccinated people getting COVID?
We have not seen any cases in Mecklenburg of people who are fully vaccinated getting COVID. What we have seen are a few cases of people after their first vaccine becoming infected, before they get their second. You're not really fully vaccinated. It's what we're calling fully vaccinated until 2 weeks after your last dose of vaccine. So if you're getting the J&J, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is one shot, 2 weeks after that, you're considered fully vaccinated. If you get Pfizer, Moderna, which require 2 injections, you are fully vaccinated after your second one. And what we've seen are a few people between those 2 doses becoming infected. So we do know that you need to follow through on your vaccines, and you need to wait those 2 weeks before you consider yourself fully vaccinated.
Okay. And a follow-up question from this citizen is, are the COVID numbers in the lower ages or younger folks affecting those numbers, I guess is what she means.
So the percentages of individuals by age group has really not changed much throughout the entire pandemic. The majority of our cases, probably close to 40% of our cases, are in individuals between the ages of 20 and 35. And then another chunk are in the ages of 35 to 50. So, that the younger age group has been most of our cases. We have seen a slight uptick in those under the age of 20, very slight. And part of that may be with our kids going back to school. And the other challenge here is that at this point, only with one of the vaccines between 16 and 18, anyone under the age of 18 cannot be vaccinated yet. The vaccine has not been approved for our younger ages. So it's important for us who can be vaccinated to get vaccine to protect those who can't be vaccinated. The other thing that we have to do, obviously, is be smart, use good common sense when you're out and about. You still need to wear your mask, even if you've been vaccinated. You still need to socially distance, and you need to avoid the larger crowds, even if you've been vaccinated. So those things continue and will continue until we get the majority of our population vaccinated.
Got you. Thank you so much, Gibbie. I think that probably takes care of the next question we got about the age ranges. I think you did a pretty good job in covering that in your answer. If that's not the case, Sean, let me know. He did ask me what is the age ranges in, where you've seen the biggest increase. Maybe you answered that, but if you'll just review that again.
Yeah, I think the biggest increases continue to be in that 20 to 40 age range.
Okay.
That's where we see most of our cases.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. And welcome to our county commissioners. I see Commissioner Altman's out there, and I know Elaine Powell was going to join us today, and probably Pat Cotham. She's always with us. And thank you all for your support. And I know you're proud of your Mecklenburg County Medical Director. One thank you coming in from Commissioner Altman. So go ahead, Gibbie.
Well, I'm going to end with just reminding people again, as I just said, of the importance of being smart and being very, very careful when you're out in public still. We still have a lot of virus in our community. As I mentioned, our numbers are slowly increasing just a little bit. And we have the opportunity, I think, to keep things under control in Mecklenburg County, but it depends on all of us as citizens to do the things that we know are going to prevent the spread of this vaccine. We're in the week of spring break. We know what we've seen on TV that's happening in some other places with spring break. We don't want that to happen here. And as people leave and go other places to celebrate spring break, they have a tendency to bring things back with them. And I'm not just talking souvenirs. Sometimes I'm talking COVID. So we need to make sure, and we do know that those variants are out there and they could be bringing more of that back into the community. So if you're traveling, if you're out with your family during spring break, again, socially distance, wear your mask, and try to stay away from those crowds. So I just want to continue to iterate that because we've still got a ways to go before we're out of this pandemic. So I appreciate having me here again this morning, and happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Okay, great. Anybody on the line, any of our commissioners or staff or chamber folks, any of y'all have any questions?
Maybe this is Commissioner Sisson. Hi.
Yes.
Good morning. One quick question. As we look to approach herd immunity, and I know we're trying to do this through the vaccination process, is anyone at the county level measuring those folks who have recovered from COVID and have natural immunity through antibodies? The reason I ask that question is I recovered from COVID over a year ago, and I've been donating convalescent plasma, so I get tested every 4 weeks. And I still, as of this morning, antibody positive. My test results from Friday just came in, and I'm still antibody positive over a year. And so I'm just wondering, as we're looking at herd immunity, we know so many people have contracted COVID. We know we've had so many cases here in the county. Is anybody looking at that metric in addition to the fully vaccinated metric?
We have not been, well, we know how many people have been infected. So we do have an idea of the number of people in our community that could have herd immunity. The problem is those folks aren't being regularly tested like you are. And we do know that we've had people who were infected, and shortly after that 90-day period where we know they likely have antibodies, have become infected again. So unless we're testing all of those individuals on a very regular basis to make sure that they still have antibodies, I'm not comfortable counting on that as part of our herd immunity. What we do know right now is that the vaccine does provide good coverage for at least 6 months. That's as far out as we've been able to go based on how long the vaccine's been available. So we know that gives us 6 months worth of coverage. On most individuals who've had COVID, we know that they've got about 90 days worth, 3 months worth of coverage. But past that, we really don't know what the percentage of that population who's still covered by antibodies might be. So we know how many there are, but we just are not banking on the fact that they continue with the antibodies, as you have been able to, which is great.
Yeah, we have 4 people in my home that have had it, and all 4 of us are still antibody positive. So, and we all had it at the same time, a little
That's
over a year.
wonderful.
Mhm.
So Gibbie, I'm one of those COVID survivors, but I've also had my shots. Did I do the right thing by getting my vaccination?
Absolutely, absolutely. We don't want anyone who is still infectious or still sick from COVID to get vaccinated. It's not helpful for them to get it during that time frame. But afterwards, yes, get vaccinated. We don't know the specifics around those folks who have been infected, how long. We can anticipate them to continue to have antibodies. I think it probably does vary depending on the health of the individual and the amount of virus they had when they were sick. And we just don't have enough information on that. So anyone, even if you've had COVID, if it's been, if you want to wait the 3 months because you assume that you have antibodies during that period of time and then get vaccinated, that's fine. But we just want to make sure that that the vaccine has the opportunity to provide us with the coverage we need in our county. So we encourage people to be vaccinated.
Okay, another good question for you, Gibbie. This comes from Commissioner Pat Cotham. Good morning, Pat. And I knew you were out there. So, but she says, Gibbie, should people who have a large bruise after the first vaccine be concerned that the vaccine did not go into the muscle? Doctors' offices, there have been doctors' offices that were concerned about that.
I
haven't heard that, but what's the answer?
That's an interesting question. There's any number of reasons why you might have a bruise after a vaccine. It's how can I say this nicely? Some individuals are better at giving shots than others. Sometimes people get bruised. Some of that might have to do with the condition of the individual. If they have a slight possibility of extra bleeding, those sorts of things, that could create some of that issue. But I think, I would assume, especially if it's after your first shot, that you are absorbing enough of that vaccine to cause the immune response that you want, and then follow up with your second vaccine and you should be okay.
Great. Thank you so much. Any other questions from anybody? Particularly our commissioners or our medical director. Good opportunity. Thank you. Folks, I think Gibbie would probably follow up to tell you to continue to be careful, continue to be cautious. I think most people are getting out more. We had a great crowd at church yesterday, although it was an outdoor service. So, you are starting to see that as we reopen. And I know that's good news for all of us. And we want to encourage the reopening process as fast as is reasonable to happen. I know our businesses, I know Bill's going to talk about our the need of certainly our local small businesses to reopen as normal as we can get, but they want to do it safely as well. So anyway, I'm going to ask one more sort of a general question to our staff. Is there any additional information that our staff would like to provide this morning's session? Either Manager Grant or Deputy Manager Heron, anything y'all would like to add? If not, we'll move along here.
Mayor, thanks for the opportunity. I just want to say thanks again to Gibbie for participating. But everyone, the only thing I'll mention is we're in knee deep in budget season, so please tune in to our meetings and provide your feedback. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. One more word about our town process. We'll be moving along and having budget discussions pretty much at every meeting we have. Our meetings now begin at 5 o'clock based on the approval of our board to do that. That allows us not to go so late, and hopefully you will join and give us your input by Zoom, or if you have anything you want to talk about, you can certainly come and enter our assembly room one at a time, or you can send us your feedback by email. So we open that wide up. I forgot one question, Gibbie, if you're still on the line. I got a question from actually one of our residents a couple of days ago that I promised her I would present in this session today because I knew you'd be on the line with us. And that is there any vaccination clinics going to be provided more on the local level, i.e. in Cornelius? She was concerned about that. So can you give us any feedback on that? This question comes from Annette Powell.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. We have been working with the towns. You know, we did have the ability for people, whether it's businesses, towns, nonprofits, churches, if they'd like to host a site to give us their information to make that available. And we've been working through those. We got lots of interest there. Hundreds have come in. And one of the things we are paying close attention to is the location of sites throughout the county, making sure that we're being sure to cover all parts of the county to make vaccine readily available. So we are working with the towns to figure out the best locations and to get that vaccine out. So I would hope that you would have one soon. I don't have the specific information with me today about our locations over the next couple of weeks, but I will double check on Cornelius and get back to you, Mayor, to let you know when we expect to be able to have a clinic there, and work with Andrew too to make sure that that's well publicized in your community.
That's great. We'll make sure to get that out, and we've got all the right people on this call today to make sure that happens. So we will have a good turnout here. We'll do our best for sure. But thank you. Thank you for that.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, Reverend Judge First Baptist from the get-go has been reaching out to both the county and Novant to do a church-based clinic. He serves an elderly population, plus he's adjacent to Smithville and has connections in there. So we've been waiting to hear from a provider of the vaccine as to when we could do a service there at First Baptist.
That's great. I know that we have had a couple in our area, one at Ada Jenkins and another at Davidson College last week, actually, that Atrium was running for us. And anyway, they're out in the area. We want to move you down to Cornelius.
I will double check on that. It's that church sounds familiar to me, to make sure that we're working in that direction.
Yeah, many of his patrons don't want to travel to Charlotte because they're older.
Yeah, I understand that. The other thing, just to make sure that you're aware, is we have started doing providing vaccine for those who are homebound. There is a sign up place on our website for that as well, or they can call our hotline. For individuals who are homebound, we have strike teams that are going out house to house to vaccinate as well. So if you have individuals in your community that are in that situation, you can make sure that they get signed up as well.
Great. Thank you again, Gibbie, for your participation today. And we'll continue to entertain questions as any more come in, but thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So moving along, we'll come back to our additional commissioners in case they have any comments as we work through this program today. Next, I'd like to give our Chamber of Commerce an opportunity to tell us what's going on. The Chamber of Commerce, as I said initially, is something that's near and dear to my heart. They mean a lot to our community. I've been an active member of the Chamber of Commerce for many, many years and have served as vice chairman. I mean, as chairman and treasurer and a lot of other things. So anyway, there's a big commitment on my part to our chamber. They do a lot of good. They don't sit back and just take things as you will. They're very, very active in representing our businesses throughout our community, both small and large. So we've got two folks from the chamber that are with us today. I've worked with both of them. I've probably worked with Sylvia Spury longer than any chamber exec because it goes back to my days as also as the chairman of the Mooresville Chamber. So that tells you my dedication to all the great work that go in with our chambers of commerce throughout our region here. So I'm going to go first to the CEO and the executive that runs the chamber. I know you got a lot of things going on, Bill, so tell us about it. We've also got on our line here Commissioner Sisson. You've heard from her already, but she is one of the past chairmen of the chambers as well. And we'll ask her for some comments. And Trish, it's your job to keep these guys straight this morning. So I know you'll do that. So Bill, go
I'll do
ahead.
my best.
Well, Mayor, the spring is in the air, azaleas are blooming, and business is back. I guess I would say that. When the first stay-at-home order came last, I guess it was March, and we had to close our businesses, the chamber never closed. And from the very, very moment that they issued the stay-at-home order in Mecklenburg County at first, and then the state, we were barraged with phone calls from our local business community wanting to know if they were considered essential. And our response is every business is essential, whether they were in healthcare or whatever. But we went out there and we wanted to make sure that we were getting updates from our local government, but also healthcare updates to keep businesses informed. Again, the Chamber of Commerce stayed open. One segment of the business community that could continue to operate was our restaurants. And we made sure that we pushed out those that were doing the curbside and takeout, making sure that those businesses got their information out there, and we did that. Then as we started moving into phase 1 and phase 2, making sure we pushed out information about how your businesses could remain safe for both your employees and your customers and your clients. Then as we rolled into phase 3, we made sure our businesses got the information on the PPP. And I've continued to talk to businesses about the first and the second PPP and how valuable that was. Many of them have talked about. There's a few that didn't take advantage of it. They didn't need to, but most said if they hadn't received that small business loan, actually a forgivable loan, they wouldn't have gotten through this time. So that's been extremely great for our business community as they've started to come back. Now we're starting to see the restaurants aren't at full capacity, but 3/4 capacity, bars starting to get back. Businesses coming back, and I'm looking forward to, we heard from Pat Raleigh, the CEO of Allen Tate, who said that he expects there to be a major economic boom in the next few months. We had a tremendous program just last week where we had Chris Ahern. Everybody knows Chris from being the former executive director of Habitat for Humanity. She's now working as a consultant for businesses, particularly on communications. And Chris and Valerie Franco had a program called Crisis, What Crisis? And how to deal with any kind of crisis, whether it's a pandemic or maybe your internet is completely hacked or whatever crisis impacts your business. And they did a really good job of putting that program together. Woody wanted me to touch on what we're doing with the nonprofits. We started about 3 years ago or 4 years ago, actually having a nonprofit roundtable where we have as many as 30 of our nonprofits give an update once a quarter on things that they're doing. We started that because one weekend, Woody, and you probably, I think you were at some of the events, we had 3 gala fundraising events by significant organizations on the same weekend. One on Friday and 2 on Saturday, and they're cannibalizing on each other. So we wanted to make sure our nonprofits knew what activities were going on when they were planning their events. But so often you might have a nonprofit, whether it's Beds for Kids, that doesn't know what Angels and Sparrows do. And so it's very important that they're able to find out so they can collaborate together. And so that's been a very good program. We're known for our networking events, and we just had our first true networking event. Dennis Billadou reminded me the other day, well, we had the 0K back in November. which was a networking event, but this was a networking event held at Lost Worlds. Also, Choplin's was a sponsor of that as well and provided the food. It was tremendous. We had a great turnout from our members that came out. As everyone knows, we're now up to 50. When it comes to gathering, we're up to 50 indoors and 100 outdoors. And so I think our next event, which Sylvia will touch on, I think is an outdoor event coming up. But we're getting back to that. Our seminars are getting back to both Zoom, but in person. So the program we had last week was attended by people who felt comfortable about coming out. And there's a lot more energy and a lot more opportunity to network when we have those types of programs. Advocacy is really important to our Chamber of Commerce. And Mayor, you're aware that our board last couple of months, there is a discussion of a sales tax hike for transit that the Charlotte City leaders have been talking about. We have been on board on the transit issue for 2 decades, but our board of directors unanimously said this is absolutely the wrong time for any sales tax hike for anything, whether it's transit or healthcare. And so I think that discussion probably is going to lead to maybe they put that referendum out there next year rather than this year when things have improved, and we can have that discussion. One of the things that I shared with Charlotte City leaders is it's imperative that our towns, Cornelius and Davidson and Huntersville, if we're going to be further taxed, our town leaders have to have a seat at the table to discuss where that funding goes. And so I think we're going to have that kind of support later on as we move toward that. We're very excited at what Cornelius is considering with its land codes. We had a presentation last month from OMB about what their plans are and seeing the revitalization of the whole downtown district. You know, I arrived in January of 1996, and every candidate forum that we've had for the last 20 years, every candidate gets up there and talks about the need to make the town center and downtown a vibrant center. And this is the opportunity to do that. So we're very excited about not only what Cornelius can do with OMB, but also in Huntersville, what North State is planning to do downtown. 2 of our downtowns, which have an opportunity to become a real town center with a lot of vitality downtown. So we're very excited about that. I wanted Sylvia on the line today to talk about some other things that we're doing, because you mentioned her work at the Mooresville South Iredell Chamber. And one of the things they had up there was a strong women's networking group. And so Sylvia came on board and she introduced that has gone really, really well. But I wanted her to touch on the WINS group, the upcoming golf tournament, which is something that she drives. And also, if you can, Sylvia, touch on that next business after hours that I think we have on the 22nd.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you, Mayor Washam and everybody for this opportunity. I think the most important thing is folks don't always know that the Chamber itself is a not-for-profit organization. We are successful due to the member investors and the folks that get involved, our board of directors, our town officials and leaders, and of course the staff. And we are very blessed with wonderful support on all of them. Been in the chamber world for over 25 years myself, and I can honestly tell you I have not had a chamber with more involvement with the community. The board of directors are all they're working hands-on with us, and we keep in touch with the community and the needs of our members. And that's very important. We wouldn't be as successful as we are without the support of so many. As Bill talked, the WINS group, which is our women networking group, was kicked off in 2020 in January, and we expected maybe 30 at our first meeting, which we ended up with 74. And from there, we outgrew the space we had and moved to Harvey's at the time. And then that was a tough one for them to do at 8 a.m. in the morning. So we did secure Brick Row and worked out great, held our meetings and stayed at 60 to 70 women of all different backgrounds. There was no charge. It was sponsored by our members. and it was coffee and refreshments and networking, and we have speakers. And then COVID came. So in April, May, June, for a year, we didn't meet. We are back up, and in February, we met as a virtual and had 24 people on the call. And then back in March and April, March, we met and had 25. Next, the 13th is our next meeting at Brick Row, and we have Dr. Alexi Lane, who's going to speak to the group, and already have over 24 registered for that, some in person and some virtual. So the programs are going, and as Bill said, we just keep on rolling and stay in touch with our members and make sure that we are doing what they invest in us to do. The golf tournament that's coming up is October 25th. And we will be going back to the Mooresville Golf Course for that. Last year, we sold out within 3 weeks as sponsorships and golfers, and we expect the same this year. And I think, we just keep on moving forward. And as for the nonprofit groups and opportunities, we just have so many folks, whether you want to get involved with a group with children, animals, needs of the community, veterans, seniors. The chamber has a great network of folks there, and you just go to the website, lakenormanchamber.org, and search for civic groups and nonprofits, and you'll find it, and you can get involved. And a lot of times it isn't just monetary. You can get involved by volunteering, serving on a committee, sharing their post, as simple as that, or organizing a drive.
And Sylvia, our next networking event?
Our next networking event is the 22nd of April, and that is going to be hosted by a new member of the chamber, Nevco Sanitation and Nevco Motorsports. And Mark Neville and his group are going to host a big after hours and their ribbon cutting at their location here in Huntersville. And right now they have planned a catered event with food, drinks, beverages, lots of different things, and they're going to also do door prizes. So we expect that to be a great success.
Woody, before we go over to Commissioner Sisson, which I'm sure is going to be adding some things to us, there's 3 things I wanted to throw out there. One, the good side of COVID, if there's been one, is it's allowed us to bring speakers on Zoom. Zoom technology was something that we hadn't used before. And the caliber of speakers that we've had for our Focus Fridays has been off the charts. We've had the Speaker of the House, the Senate Pro Tem. We've had the Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court. We've had our Lieutenant Governor. And now we have Mandy Cohen coming up in just a couple of weeks. And you just heard from Gibbie. We're going to hear from Mandy about what's going on with the state and how that's impacting business. And so again, some of the speakers we've had, and last month we had Dr. Mike Miltick, and he's chair of the CRTPO, and he explained the whole road and transportation process and some of those road projects that are coming up in Cornelius, Davidson, Huntersville, and Mooresville. That's on our website. So if you hadn't seen that, please go to our website and you can see that presentation. And I know Dr. Mike, it was only 1 hour. We could have probably spent 3 hours talking about road improvement projects because they're so important to our community. But that was a really good presentation. The other thing that the chamber does is we have a diversity program. And last year you saw the protest, which in some cases turned to riots. And again, race relations is something that is extremely important. You can't have a great community unless it's a diverse community. And so we had a discussion just a few months ago on race relations, which can get uncomfortable for some people, but it's something that a dialogue that we need to have. We have an outstanding chairman, Dan Houston, and there are several programs that he is planning doing. Under the umbrella of our Diversity Council, of course, is the Women's Conference that now that we're seeing, 100 people outside, very soon we hope to have 100 inside so that we can go ahead and have that women's conference. But also we are going to be planning on having our diversity luncheon where we have a discussion of diversity, but recognizing the businesses, nonprofit corporation, and individuals that promote diversity. So that will be coming up. The last thing I want to touch on, Mayor, is this is a great time to join the Chamber of Commerce. Actually, any time's a great time. But as everyone is aware, we have a partnership with Currents Magazine, and we put out in the spring a publication called Great Lake Living. It's not only a relocation magazine, but it's our buyer's guide. So everyone who's a member of the Chamber of Commerce is categorically listed in the back of that magazine. And the deadline probably is going to be about April 30th before we cut that off and begin to go to print. And so if you've been sitting on the fence thinking about whether or not to join the chamber, or you're considering about whether or not to renew in the Chamber of Commerce, we've got Great Lake Living that's going to be produced inside of about 2 months. And so it'll be an opportunity for you to get involved in the Chamber of Commerce. I know we have Commissioner Sisson, and like yourself, Woody, she is a past board chair of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. And I think you wanted to hear from Tricia.
I do. I want to make one comment first. If there's anybody trying to make or create a question, please do that in the chat box. I'm trying to monitor that as well as we can. So just simply type that in your chat box, and we'll be happy to acknowledge that, and I'll pass it on to our guest today. But I do have one question before we leave you, Bill. This is from a friend, Pat Cotham. And Pat says, Bill, do you hear some of your members talking about a new business normal? It's a great question, of a hybrid model with 2 days in the office and remote for 3 days going forward. Business will change. I think we all, this is my editorial, as we move forward. Retail will change as we move forward. So what's your reaction to that, and how will the chamber help that process?
Well, we've already heard from some of our commercial developers, realtors, that certainly office space is going to change. We're going to have more people working from home, more flexible hours. Zoom, while I think we're all looking forward to getting back to in-person events, Zoom is going to continue to play a part. You're going to see more virtual meetings. Our business is going to need as much space as they have in the past. And I mean, I'm hearing from people like Charles Knox and others who are in that realm talking about how, you're probably going to have less office space in the future. We understand that the internet's going to continue to play a part, particularly as retail sales go. If you're a business owner and you don't have strong retail sales, you better start looking into that. So IT is going to play a huge role. But how we function in the future with employees is definitely it's here to stay.
Great. Yeah, and I continue to be amazed at the ingenuity and creativity that so many of our businesses have implemented, particularly our restaurants. Never did I think I would be ordering many of my meals on DoorDash or Grubhub or Uber. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, we're truly a changed world here in 2021 as we come out of this thing, and some things just probably won't change back like they are. I kind of like that, just sitting here and I know Sharon does, and getting our meals delivered to our front door. That's a plus. But I'm still supporting local business in doing that, and I think that's the key. So changing where we lived in, and now we've been saving up for Commissioner Sisson. So she gives us a report. I will tell you, if you don't know this, a very thorough report every meeting about the goings on of the chamber. And I'm grateful for that. It keeps me up to date. And I thank you all for the quality of presentations and speakers that you provided. I don't miss those programs if at all possible. And I thank you for your efforts in putting those together. So, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. As most of you know, I'm a past chair of the chamber, but also a longtime board member and a current board member as the appointed board member for the town of Cornelius. And I just have to say, a real special, as a board member, a special thank you to Bill, to Sylvia, and to the entire chamber staff. One of the things that we've seen nationally in chambers of commerce across the US is they're losing their relevancy. Members don't necessarily get out of a chamber membership what they might get out of a free networking group or something like that. And to see the work that Bill and Sylvia and the team at the chamber did to completely pivot the business model and change format so that they could stay relevant to their membership was just amazing. Bill will be the first one to tell you technology is not really his thing. But he quickly learned Zoom as quickly as he could. He had a few hiccups here and there, but he's become somewhat of a master of it. And not only does he get these amazing speakers, but he records these programs too, so that they're available to the membership throughout their time and for whatever needs that those members have. And what we've seen as a board is what we expected to see was a huge drop off in membership, especially with businesses, reducing hours and getting hamstringed by mandates that were coming down. What we actually saw was an increase in our membership, which was absolutely phenomenal. And there are probably not that many chambers of commerce who can say that. It's a true testimony to the staff, to what we do as a community, and to the respect and the resiliency that the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce has. So thank you, Bill. Thank you, Sylvia. You guys did an awesome job explaining everything that's going on. And I was at that after hours event at Lost Worlds, and I can tell you that our membership is just craving more of those. There was so much interaction. There were so many people who were just so happy to get out and start networking again. There was a new member there, and he could not have been more pleased with the connections that he made at that one single event that was limited to 50 people. So kudos. I'm looking forward to many more. I'm looking forward to things opening up and our chamber membership really getting back to not only the old stuff, but what we've created new. And it's really exciting to see the wave of new programs and exciting and innovative approaches that we've taken.
Thank you very, very much. Very well said. As I stated earlier, I go back for years and years with chamber work in this region. And, Sylvia, one of the things that we've talked about all the time I've known you is buying local. So, and our emphasis on supporting our local business and buying local. I remember that campaign we've had up in Iredell County by that was really started by the King of Price, Randy Marion, back in the day. So tell us how you feel about that. I know you've been involved in that. How are we doing that here at the Lake Norman Chamber?
Well, the Lake Norman Chamber is wonderful. Our members, our people, the folks that live and work here. And buying local is very important. I mean, if we don't support our small businesses and our mom and pop stores and things like that, I know my choice is normally to go, when I go out to dinner, is to go to a local restaurant that's family owned and operated or single owner. And the same with the businesses. We have a lot of small businesses that do, your income taxes. And we even have folks that can help you with your bookkeeping or things like that. And that's where we have to go. And the Chamber's online directory is a great resource. And it's just lakenormanchamber.org. And you go right into the resources and the member directory, and you can find almost anybody or anything in that category. And also just call the office, and any one of us are happy to help you.
Mayor, you talked about your longevity going back in the Chamber of Commerce during the kind of phase one of the stay at home. I started to do the throwback Thursdays and put pictures back from 90, 93, 94,
Yes.
95, 96. And it was just really to, during those early times. And then once everything started cranking back up, I dropped it for like 2 weeks. And we got tons of people going, where's the pictures? Where's the pictures? And so we've gone back to put those on, but it's amazing to see the photos of groundbreaking at Burkdale Village, or pictures of businesses that opened up in Cornelius, 20 years ago, and some of the friends that we had then, and some of them that we've lost. Commissioner Hank Kahn and past Chairman Scott Hinkle and some others. But we're also, speaking of local business, we're also spotlighting businesses each week, and we usually take 3 businesses. We try to do it from various communities, and we might have a retailer and a restaurant, but we send those out to our membership, but we also put it on our social media, letting people get to know a little bit more about these businesses. So we're spotlighting our members.
Great. We do have a question I want to clear up. First of all, one of our residents provided you a great big thank you to the chamber, which is nice. Another one has asked a question, and it says, as a relatively new resident of Cornelius and not from the area, is there a source where we can find all the locally owned and operated businesses? Would that be on the chamber website or where?
You're not going to find a complete compendium of all of our businesses because, again, the chamber is a membership organization. And so we have close to 850 businesses that are members. There's a lot more businesses in Cornelius than 850 businesses, but it is going to be those businesses who are very engaged in the community, who are typically those businesses getting behind community events. And so we have that relocation magazine that you can pick up at the chamber called Great Lake Living. It's at also the Visit Lake Norman's Visitor Center, but also, yes, the Lake Norman Chamber website at lakenormanchamber.org has a business directory. And depending on what kind of service you need, if you needed a handyman or auto repair, you just put that into the website and pull those businesses up. But those are going to be businesses, by and large, who are going to be much more involved in your community and probably your friends and folks who support your business.
Great.
I'm going to add to that with Bill. The Lake Norman Visitor Center, which is here in the same office as the chamber, 19900 West Catawba Avenue, is a resource that even living here for over 20 years now, I never, ever was able to realize how great that resource is. They have everything about the area and all around North Carolina to visit, from the lakes to the oceans to the mountains, and you can come in here and just pick up free brochures and ask questions. And here at the chamber, the same thing. I mean, if we don't have it, we will help you find the resource that you need. So the number is 704-892-1922. We are here from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and happy to help you.
Mayor, I know you're vice chair of Visit Lake Norman, and the pandemic, again, another plus of the pandemic, was it allowed Visit Lake Norman some time to really expand their products. And they started shipping products out on their website. But if you're looking for anything that has Lake Norman on it, whether it's a coffee mug or a sweatshirt, a hoodie or a t-shirt, it's down at the Visit Lake Norman's Visitor Center. There's a lot of product that they now have with Visit Lake Norman.
Yeah, and I think we could add that it would be, to the gentleman that asked that question, it would be a really eye-opening experience just to stop by the visitor center. And I think that's what Sylvia is saying there. Go back into the chamber area. The chamber area is separate, but it's right there, same spot, and visit with these guys. But there'll be representatives staffing this visitor center during their business hours, normal business hours. But just to look at the pictures and all the products they have in there is really an eye-opening experience. And we really invite all of our citizens to do that. It's so convenient. So hopefully they will stop by. So I'm gonna move us along. Thank you all very much. I said back in the day during my tenure that there were three pretty critical organizations to managing many of the good things that go on in the way of supporting our businesses, recruiting our businesses, and so forth. And it's really a three-legged stool that really props us up in terms of our economic development here in our region. That would be the Lake Norman Chamber, which you've heard of, the Lake Norman Economic Development Corporation, and Visit Lake Norman. You've heard a little bit about all of those organizations. They all operate separately. They all operate with their own board of directors, and fabulous organizations that truly make a difference. We're hearing from one of them today. We'll also hear from the other two along the way. I think Danny's got them scheduled in future sessions. So we look forward to covering all that because it means so much to our region. So thank you all very much again. And I want to turn now to our commissioners. And again, remind any staff people, any updates you would have you'd like to make to the group. Let me start with Commissioner Billadu first. I know he's out there. I think all of our commissioners are on the line today, and I'm really proud of that. So, Commissioner Billadu, you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. And thank you, Bill and Sylvia. I've been a member of the Lake Norman Chamber for over 15 years, been pretty active over the years. And I'm happy that Bill is not on his Throwback Thursday showing any of those photos from the Women's Conference fashion show. That would scare a few viewers away from you. But Bill has heard from me several times that, I was a member of 5 chambers at one time, so I had a way to compare how effective they were. And I thought the Lake Norman Chamber was great value, certainly helped my insurance agency over the years. So thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate all that you do.
Thank you, sir. So I think I saw Commissioner Ross out there. Not sure he's still on there, but Commissioner Ross has served as a board member of the Lake Norman Chamber over time. He's been around quite a while. So Thurman, you have anything you'd like to add if you're there?
Man, I'm here. Yeah, I've been working with the chamber for quite a while. This is a great organization. And I'm still proud of the work Bill's been doing and managed to contribute to the community. Thank you.
Great. And likewise, I think Mr. Duke, I believe Mr. Duke, you served as a board member of the chamber along the way somewhere, didn't you?
That's correct.
Okay.
I can remember the Focus Fridays. I can remember the great donuts, and I can remember the great speakers that Bill provided. So it's a wonderful organization, and I'm 100% behind it.
Great. Thank you, sir. I thought you had served some time on there, and I know you did it on Visit Lake Norman as well. So we appreciate your help on with both of those entities. And Commissioner Miltig, you have anything to add? We've heard from you a time or two, but anything to add on this topic?
Well, one of the joys of being a commissioner is that I'm invited to the ribbon cuttings that are happening, sponsored by the chamber. And I have been very amazed at the diversity and the stories of these entrepreneurs coming to Cornelius and what they bring to our community. It goes all the way from home health care to locally raised lamb, which is the last ribbon cutting. It's been a lot eye-opening, and I really appreciate getting to know all the new businesses that are coming to Cornelius. I would also like to echo the dropping into the Visit Lake Norman Visitor Center. There is a ton of information there for newcomers, different businesses and activities. And yes, they have a lot of product with LKN on it. So that I would also echo, that is a worthwhile visit if you're a newcomer to the area, or even if you've been here for a while. I've been here 25 years. And all of a sudden, wow, there's a lot of stuff in here that's very helpful. And like I said, it covers everything from the mountains to the ocean. And then lastly, still being very involved with transportation and transit issues. It continues to take up a lot of my time. So much coming, and Bill is right. We had at least, that committee that I put together, we could have talked for 3 hours and just barely cover everything that's happening in our Lake Norman community. And the last thing is, I'll be glad when the MEAC committee starts up again and talking about getting our kids back to school, which is long. We won't go there. I don't want. Anyway, enough of my comments. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
And I get questions all the time about, well, how do our towns work together? How do we coordinate? How do we cooperate? How do we talk to each other? Do we like each other and all that kind of stuff? Well, the organizations that I just mentioned, including the chamber, helps bring us together. I mean, it really does. It helps us communicate. It helps us work together on particular topics or legislative matters or, anything related to you're better off when you're a bigger number working in tandem with each other. And really the chamber has created that. Visit Lake Norman has created that. And the Lake Norman EDC has created that. we all intermingle together with different board members representing each of our towns on each of those organizations. And it really forces us to cooperate and to communicate. So it's a good thing that these organizations certainly support our well-being in many, many ways, but not the least of which is providing that vehicle of communication with each other. So that's a real plus here. Let me check our chat box one more time. And I believe we're good to go. My Apple Watch says it is 9:30. I want to again thank everybody for your participation today. All of our town commissioners, the chamber staff, Sylvia and Bill, and certainly Commissioner Sisson's involvement with that as well. We appreciate your efforts and all you do for our community. I want to wish everybody a nice sunny Monday. It's going to be a great Monday. Our day is a little bit long because we have a town board meeting coming up, as I said, at 5 o'clock. So maybe we'll see you again at 5 o'clock. So everybody have a great day. And as we get this summer season kicked off, enjoy yourself. Thank you very much. Good day.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor.